What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Let me get to the spot. Let me get to the spot. Hey, everybody. What is going on? This is Plan Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. And let's get started today. Today is Tuesday, and I am on, what is it? I'm going to try to get through this quicker. I usually get on here and I get a little long-winded, but I'm going to try to get through this one a little bit quicker today because I really don't want to be out here too long. I just finished my insanity workout. It's recovery week, so it means that I'm not doing as much pounding, so I can get out here and still do a little walk and exercise. But I want to get out of the house and walk through my neighborhood that is being gentrified, which is, I don't know, depends on how you look at it. If you're an investor, it's a great thing. But if you're the neighbors and your house is, your neighborhood is being gentrified, I don't know. Do you really want to sell your house? Because then that means you need to start this whole process all over again. So, as I really think about it, gentrification really is only good for the investors. It's not good for the neighborhoods, but I digress. But specifically, I wanted to get out here this morning, just walk, get a little more exercise. I've been doing well. If you've been following my page, you'll know that I'm on, this is like day 28 or 29 of doing the Insanity program. The Insanity is a 60-day intense workout program, and of course I'm up there. I'm not some young spring chicken like when I used to play ball, so I can't go as hard as I would like to. But what I understand is just the consistency of anything that you do, because I had this conversation the other day. And I was talking to someone, and I said that it doesn't matter. Hey, Charlotte, how you doing? Good to see you out there. I'm out here trying to get some exercise. These not so young Beacon Hill legs need some exercise. But I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about programs that work, whether it's a sales program, whether it's a fitness program, whatever it is. And you have some people get into these programs and they'll say, it doesn't work. It's just not for me. This multi-level marketing stuff, it isn't for me. And I always say, all of them work when you work them. Pretty simple. All these programs, all these weight loss programs, all these programs, they work. They just require a certain level of discipline, but they all work. So that's just like the Insanity program that I'm doing right now. I started about maybe a couple of months before the Insanity program. I started just focusing on eating better. I cut out a lot of stuff. Some people would think that I'm a vegan because of everything that I've cut out. But when you start thinking, once you start getting up there really over 50, I would say even over 40. Once you get over 40, if you're still eating a bunch of red meat, literally if you're eating any meat, but if you're eating any more red meat and you're still eating a bunch of bread, you're still eating a bunch of stuff with sugar in it, you're still eating a bunch of stuff with caffeine in it, and what else? And dairy. You are just slowly killing yourself faster than just time. So basically, if you think of those 5 things, every time if I feel any kind of way, if my body feels off a little bit, I always check. I say, okay, within the last 48 hours, have I had caffeine, sugar? That's the other one. Have I had caffeine, sugar, bread, any sort of meat, or dairy? If I've had any of those things, I immediately know, yep, that's when my body's acting kind of funny style. So I started cutting out all that stuff. And then after a couple of months, when my schedule and everything got better, when I got a better grasp of what was going on at the store, and then tax season was coming to a close, then I said, okay, I have a little bit more time. Even though I still had to get up early in the morning, about 4:30. Then I started back into the insanity workout. And, you know, like if you go back and look on all my social media pages, I'm at day 30. So I'm basically half. What's this? It's kind of scary. All of a sudden you walking down the street and then this car just randomly just stops in the middle. And so you're sitting over here thinking somebody might be getting out about to do some funny business. And I ain't packing no gun or anything right now. I can't just shoot somebody. Because you can do that in Arizona. They got laws. You can carry your guns and you can just shoot the hell out of somebody. But I shouldn't even really say that because they'll flip that script on a black person in a second. But I'm coming to my favorite park. It's just down the street from my house. And so let's get to the topic I wanted to talk to. Just talk a little bit about today. All right. Now, some of you that have been following me know that I wrote a book. Took me years. You know, if some of you have been following me, you know I was released from prison back in 1999. So since that time, I've been on this journey, going back to school, getting everything in order. And so over the last 5 years, everything has probably been accelerated. My tax business has grown tremendously. We actually have a staff in India that actually does some of our processing. I bought a store. My brother and I actually bought a smoke shop. I wrote the book, and I've done some other stuff. So over the past 5 years, my life has changed dramatically. So now that book is on Amazon. So if you actually want to go pick up the book, you can just go to Amazon, type in Plan Your Greatness, and bam, you may have to scroll a little bit, but then all of a sudden the book will come up. You'll see the cover, you'll see my name. So there you go. The book is on Amazon. But understand that that's a draft copy. That was just the first edition I did myself. I didn't do a lot of editing. So there are some grammatical errors and stuff in there, but it clearly states on the inside cover that it's a draft copy. So now I'm doing a second edition to that book. And my professor from Arizona State University, he was so gracious in reading the entire book. He actually gave me back the original copy that I gave to him with all his editing suggestions in there, and then kind of a glossary on what he was saying, what he meant, what he thought I meant, maybe where I should add some different stuff to it. So now I'm in the process of editing this book. And so as I'm editing this book, I'm adding stories that I may not have elaborated on. And now I'm at the point where I'm coming across these different points that I had talked about in the book, but I hadn't maybe gone into the details that I would have liked to have gone into. And so one of them right now is talking about the 5 stages. And what I mean the 5 stages is the 5 stages of grief. That I believe that there are a lot of us going through these 5 stages, and some of us are stuck in one of those stages, and we never get past that. Now, if you're not familiar with the 5 stages of grief, they are denial, anger, let me see if I remember, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Now, as I was writing the book, and I'm going over that section again, I stated in the book that I believe the the depression part of it is the part of the 5 stages of grief that we are in the longest. And I use myself as an example because when my baseball career ended in 1991, okay, I was in prison in how many years later? 1991, my baseball career ended. I was locked up in prison in 1996. I committed the crime in 95, but I wasn't arrested until 1996. Okay? But what I realized is that I got injured. I had the injury and the shoulder problems and elbow problems in 1987. So here I am sitting in a prison cell, and I'm trying to better myself. I'm reading, I'm writing, and I gravitated toward a bunch of psychology books. Just kind of killing time. I said, hey, I just want to read, try to become a little smarter while I was in here. And what I noticed was I was going through depression, undiagnosed depression. I'm reading, and all these symptoms and all this behavior and all this other stuff that I come to the realization, I said, oh my God, I've been going through this ever since that injury. So from 1987, literally to about 1996, 97, so somewhere 8, 9, almost a decade, I had been going through depression. And I didn't even realize it. And so as I realized that in prison, I started trying to make changes as far as going over my thought process. That was the first thing. Then the second thing is when I got out of prison and I started to reflect back on my life, I started to look around at other people in my life, people that I passed, and I was able to recognize within them and say, man, if you don't take the time to reevaluate what you're doing, make this assessment, because something probably happened in your life traumatically, either in childhood or as a teenager, maybe as a young adult. Something traumatic happened in your life that you were trying to process this on your own without professional help. Just to walk you through that process of denial. What is it? Denial. Let me pull out my little cheat sheet here. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So if we're trying to do this stuff without some professional guidance, most of the time we're going to get stuck in that depression stage, because that depression stage takes you probably to your lowest of your low, because you start asking yourself some questions, and if you don't have professional guidance at that point, you're going to get stuck in it, because it's going to make you feel so bad. It's going to make you feel so bad about yourself, and then you're going to have to sit over here and try to process that through. And if you don't have at least and let's just say this, you may not have the money, or you just may not have the time to go and seek professional help. But if you're not going to have professional help, just like what most of us do in the black community, we sit around with our friends. Now, if they don't ask the right questions, then that whole process isn't even worthwhile. It doesn't get you to the place that you want to get to. So here I am trying to do this by myself, and I'm incarcerated. So I'm trying to deal with all of this other stuff. But the understanding is I was able to recognize that there was a problem. And I was in this deep, dark state that I began to kind of work myself through. So that's what I want to remind people of, is that as we are trying to work ourselves through different things, we want to make sure that we're either seeking some sort of professional help, or if we're not seeking professional help, then you better go to the library, you better get online, and you better do some honest research and figure out where you're at so you can honestly make the assessment and then make the adjustment. Because for the most part, most of us have no idea where that trauma began. We know that we're having bad relationships. We're making bad money decisions. We're constantly, drinking or smoking or doing all kinds of stuff. You can just look at your life and see, the inconsistencies in that. I've said this to people talking specifically about this as far as a routine, is that, and I posted this video the other day, is that many of us get up in the morning and we have no routine on how we go about our day. So if something goes wrong, or if even something goes right, we have a great day. We can't pinpoint like where that consistency is and how we can repeat that. Because if you're just randomly getting up, well, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to start doing that, there's no consistency in it. More specifically, if we get up and we have a consistent routine about our day and then things don't go well, you can always point to where, okay, I see right there where I can make some adjustments. And so, all right, so I'll do that. I won't do that tomorrow, or I'll add this or add that. Pretty simple if you have a routine. And so now that comes back to when we're trying to make adjustments in our lives. If we have no idea what trauma, where it came from, then we're going to actually just kind of go through and hope that some things just kind of resolve themselves, as opposed to looking at and saying, okay, I understand this has something to do with my relationship with my mother, relationship with my father, maybe an ill-advised relationship with an uncle, or just, something like in my situation, it was the fact that I had this baseball career and I leaned so heavily on this career that when this career ended, I had no plan. Now, and people always talk about, well, you need to have some sort of a backup plan. Well, I don't agree with a backup plan, but I didn't have enough confidence in myself that once the baseball career ended, that I could just transition into something else. And that's where my issue was. And I never began to address that. And simply as I got out of prison, the thing that addressed that was my education. I went back to school, got my degree, and began opening up opportunities for me to get other corporate jobs. Even though I had a felony, I was able to get some decent corporate jobs until I actually found my place as far as creating the tax business. And now that tax business has taken off, I found a good partner to work with as far as help build that business. That actually catapulted me to buying the store. And so now that store is now growing. So I have a couple of things that are now moving me in the right direction. But all those things would not have come about if I didn't go back and address that I had not mentally prepared myself for a life after baseball. Once I began addressing that issue, it changed everything else from that point. All right. So I just wanted to get on here, get myself a little walk in the morning, and just share that thought with you as I'm editing the book. Hopefully I'll have that book done so it'll be kind of the real version of the book. Again, the first copies of it were just draft copies. You can pick those up and you'll get the content of it. But I released that book November 19th of last year. So hopefully around November, maybe close to Thanksgiving or somewhere around that time, I'll be able to release the updated version, because then once it's been truly edited, we got the flow and everything of the book down, then that's where I'm going to turn it into an audio book. So you'll have the option of getting it in as an ebook, as a physical copy, and then as an audio book. Just because today most people just don't take the time to sit and grab a physical book and read it. Most people are on the run. They're in the car. They're doing some sort of commuting. Even though We have a lot of people at home. Even when they're at home, they don't want to sit there with a book, so they'll turn it on in the background. They'll have it just playing on their home system or whatever it is. So that's what we're going with that. All right. I just wanted to holler at everybody. Hope you guys all have a great day. And I will end this as I end all my morning talks. Plan your greatness. You know why? Because nobody else will. I will see you all next time.